I'd like to call this board meeting to order, and with that, if you would pledge the flag. I have my flag right behind me. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of
the United States of America
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With that, I guess we have, I'm going to ask of silence. And as we offer up our thoughts, let us keep in our thoughts and our prayers all of those families that have suffered or lost someone as a result of this horrible virus. So let's have that moment of silence. Thank you again, and I'll ask our clerk to call the roll.
Councilwoman Cartwright.
Present.
Councilwoman Bonner.
Here.
Councilman Laval.
Present.
Councilman Legurcio.
You have to unmute yourself, Mike.
Mike on.
Councilman Foley.
Here.
Councilman Panico.
Here.
Supervisor Romaine.
Present.
You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. We'll start with reports to the board.
Yes. I have a report of revenue for the town clerk's office for the month of June in the amount of $106,841.59. May I have a motion to accept this item 1?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We have a communications consensus agenda that asks us to accept the board minutes from the June 18th meeting.
Yes, may I have a motion to accept the communication consensus agenda item?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The highway consensus agenda with 7 items on it.
Yes, may I have a motion to accept the highway consensus agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
Watchovic?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and next we have the consensus resolution agenda.
I'll move C 203 through 223. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, let me ask you about public comment at this point. Has anyone emailed us public comments that should be read at this time that are not related to the public hearings? Annette,
I'm sorry, Mr. Supervisor?
has anyone emailed us public comments at this
No.
time that are not related to the public hearing?
We did get comments in regard to, and this was on the town website with regard to the resolution 399 to support the reduction in aircraft noise at Calabro Airport. And those came earlier today via the town website. And the comments were from people in the Shirley and Brookhaven Hamlet area, basically talking about the airport and noise. Some people were thankful for the resolution. Others said it didn't go far enough. Other than that, we have nobody on right now.
Right, they would like this airport that was built by the United States government in 1944 to close. It was given to the state in 1960 and eventually given to the town. This is not a commercial airport. These are mostly small planes that land there. And I think most of the complaints don't come from the planes, but come from the skydiving activities that are there. So we will take a look at that. I'm sure every board member should get a copy of those.
We have them all.
Which is great if we have that in our email so that we could take a look at that. And I would encourage anyone to contact myself or the board members. In this case, it would probably be either Councilman Legurcio or Councilman Panico concerning that. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go right to the resolution agenda then. And we're going to start with Michael.
Thank you, Supervisor. Resolution 396 of 2020. Amending resolution numbers 2019-0943 and 2020-0247, authorizing settlement of acquisition of property for highway purposes, Munsell Road, road improvement, district owner, William Longboat Jr. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Resolution 397 of 2020, authorizing the transfer of land from the county of Suffolk, Brookhaven, and from the town of Brookhaven to Long Island Housing Partnership, Inc. to promote the availability of affordable housing for property located in Bellport. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Resolution 398 of 2020, appointment of Councilman Michael Lugurcio Jr. as a marriage officer. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I just
Thank
want
Mike, what is that, like your
I think-
10th wedding you've done? at this point?
Probably about that. Yeah.
Michael is the perfect person to join people in love. Congratulations.
really
Aw,
are.
thank you,
Really
Supervisor. Love you guys.
All right.
399 of 2020 is a resolution to support the reduction in aircraft noise at Calabro Airport, and I believe it's being co-sponsored by Councilman Lugurcio.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Resolution 400 of 2020, authorizing an amendment to the resolution 0705, 2019, which establishes the budget for the Marina 5 dock improvements and authorizing the Commissioner of Finance to increase the budget through budget neutral transfers from the Cranberry Road Pier Improvement Budget. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
401 of 20 is to amend contract number 201-80001. This is janitorial services at Brookhaven Town Hall. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
402 of 20 is authorizing a use and dissemination agreement with the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services to include most current language related to the use and dissemination and security breaches and updated Appendix A. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Resolution of 403 of 2020 authorizes the execution of an intermunicipal agreement between the town of Brookhaven and the county of Suffolk, acting through the Suffolk County Real Property Tax Service Agency to grant Suffolk County permission to use the town of Brookhaven's geographic information, GIS, maps pertaining to preserved open space and farmland. And I so move.
Second.
Second.
Ms. Bonner, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Clerk, I'd like to table resolution 0404, 2020.
I'll second that.
Motion to table. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
405 of 20 is award of bid number 20032, Mastic Beach Ambulance Access Platform to the lowest responsible bidder, Loduca Associates Incorporated. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Resolution 406 of 2020, appointment of John Skelsey as a marriage officer. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 407, authorizing an amendment to the land lease agreement with C2 New York Brookhaven LLC for solar development at the amphitheater located at Bald Hill. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 408, authorizing the supervisor, deputy supervisor to execute an agreement with Good Energy LP to act as a community choice aggregation administrator to procure natural gas and electric at reduced rates for Brookhaven town residents. And I so move and strongly support this.
Second.
Can I co-sponsor that,
I
Supervisor?
think we should all co-sponsor it.
Should, I think this is,
This is a good direction to go in.
We had two very good people, groups appear for us. The professionals within Town Hall and the advisory committee unanimously recommended good energy, but they both were very good. I think we're going to be well served, and it's going to take some time, but certainly in the next 6 to 8 months, we may be in the energy business where we can provide lower cost gas and electric to the businesses and residents of Brookhaven. Not going to be a great deal lower, but look, every penny counts.
Having been moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Dan?
409 of 20 is amending resolution number 2019-0962, adopted December 19, 2019, entitled Appointment of 2020 Professional Service Providers. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 410 of 2020 is authorizing the acquisition of land in the town of Brookhaven for property located on Whiskey Road, Middle Island, New York. Suffolk County tax map numbers are provided. Owner, Teresharon, Miller Place Associates. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
411 of 20 is resolution dedicating town-owned land in Eastport to the town of Brookhaven's nature preserve system. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Resolution 412 of 2020 is designating July 26, 2020 as Americans with Disabilities Act ADA Awareness Day. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 413, 2020, authorizing the supervisor or deputy supervisor to accept a grant award from the Suffolk County Water Quality Protection and Restoration Program and Land Stewardship Initiative to fund the comprehensive stormwater and flood mitigation with Living Shoreline Project, and to authorize the Commissioner of Finance to amend the 2020 capital budget in connection with the grant award. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 414 of 20 is authorization to enter into an agreement with partnership between the Rehabilitation Support Services and Image Data Incorporated, whereby they will provide data imaging services for municipal records funded by a MCEP grant. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 415, determination of the premises at 12 Everett Street, Center H, New York, 11720, to be unsafe as defined by Chapter 73 pursuant to the engineer's report of Cash and Spinelli Ferretti, LLC, and setting a public hearing by which the owner or other persons having an interest in the premises may be heard with respect to the condition of the premises and the actions necessary to secure or remove same. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That public hearing will be held September 17, 2020 at 5:30 p.m.
416 of 20 is to award a mobile concession franchise agreement to PTM Vending Corp. For Eastport South Manor Athletic Complex. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
417 of 20 is to amend Resolution 2020-0298, amend the 2020 adopted budget for part-time positions and restore certain part-time positions. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
418 of 2020 is a resolution approving the 2020 Annual Action Plan and Citizen Participation Plan for community development programs under the 2018-2022 Consolidated Plan, authorizing the supervisor to execute all documentation required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and directing the Commissioner of Housing to submit same to HUD. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
419 of 20 is to authorize Commissioner of Finance to amend the 2020 adopted capital budget to reflect an increase in the town match for the Maple Avenue Ramp Grant Project. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Resolution 420, authorize the Commissioner of Finance to amend the 2020 adopted capital budget to establish a project for CHIPS, EWR, and Pave New York funds awarded by the New York State Department of Transportation, and to amend Resolution 0310 for bid number 20026 to furnish and install asphalt concrete on town roads to increase the award amount. So moved.
Second.
All those in
On
favor?
that motion, just quickly on that motion, this resolution is a little bit unfortunate in some senses because we get allotted a certain amount of money from New York State for various grant programs for transportation, paving, various things. Unfortunately, the state has reached out to the highway superintendent and told him that we could be cut by 20%, all of these funds. This resolution basically authorizes 80% of the funds that we were predetermined in the state budget this year. Unfortunately, because of COVID, it could be cut. So we could see some loss of money from New York State up to about, it looks about a little over $1 million could be cut if we don't get the full amount. So unfortunately, that may happen this year, but we're going to move forward with the funds we have and cross our fingers that the state will fully live up to the grant money that they said they were going to apply to us.
In the meantime, they're out there milling and paving like crazy.
Well, having been moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 0421 of 2020 is 2020 operating budget amendments for Parks Department pools. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And Resolution 0422 2020 is 2020 various operating and capital budget transfers. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, we have a walk-on resolution which will be marked 423, submitted by Councilwoman Valerie Cartwright. Valerie?
Thank you, Supervisor. I'd like to move to add resolution number 423.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to add carries.
Resolution 423 of 2020, resolution to authorize exemption for Boy Scout Troop 454 from executive order. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Thank you. That completes our resolution agenda. We do have to set dates. So I'm looking to set a date for a public hearing to amend the Uniform Traffic Code to be heard on August 27th. We're still sticking with that date as a town board meeting date.
Yep.
And are you moving that, sir, or someone else?
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries for August 27th.
Unfortunately, we have no other business other than public hearings, but because they're advertised for 5:30 and it's only 5:18, we have to shut down for the next 12 minutes, and we will be back at 5:30 to start the public hearing because we have to stick to our published times, unless anyone has any other business. Nope. All right, we'll see everyone at 5:30 for the public hearing. Thank you. Okay, we're back for public hearings. It is 5:30 and we are going to start our public
thank you.
hearings. And we'll start with the clerk with public hearing number 1. Public hearing number 1.
I know, but I have two things going, Lisa might hear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Public hearing number 1, Uniform Traffic Code Amendments. And that Arresto, Town Attorney, will be providing a brief summary of today's public hearing to amend the Uniform Traffic Code. Legal notices for public hearings are published no less than 10 days, no more than 20 days prior to a public hearing in one of the newspapers. The office has received the signed affidavit of publication from the newspaper.
The following is a summary of amendments to the Town of Brookhaven Uniform Traffic Code. Article 7, Section 26, stop and yield intersections. There are 12 additions in the hamlets of Farmingville, Holbrook, Holtsville, Middle Island, Ronkonkoma, and Yaphank. Thank you.
Any questions? If not, I make a motion to close this public hearing.
I'll second it, Supervisor.
Second.
I heard 3 seconds, so Panico, thank you.
Take a pick.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to close. carried.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, we're on to public hearing number 2.
Public hearing number 2, introductory local law number 8 of 2020, to consider amending chapter 57 entitled Shellfish, Article 6, entitled Designated Management Areas and Winter Grounds, Section 57-34 entitled Management Areas of the Code of the Town of Brookhaven. Legal notices for public hearings are published no less than 10 days and no more than 20 days prior to a public hearing in one of the legal town newspapers. And my office has received a signed affidavit of publication from the newspaper. A secret negative determination will be submitted by the law department via resolution, if applicable.
Okay,
I have this one, Mr. Supervisor.
Sure.
This resolution would amend Chapter 57 entitled Shellfish and Article 6, Designated Management Areas and Winter Grounds. And Section 57-34 Management Areas to add a shellfish management program to Bellport Bay. And I know this is one of the supervisor's favorite initiatives. So it's to add a winter area to the Bellport Bay, which didn't exist before. And there's a description in the resolution.
okay.
We,
I believe we have some people who want to speak on this.
yes, we have, I believe, one speaker, and I'd ask that he be let in. His name is Thomas Schultz.
I know Tom. I think we all know Tom.
He's the president of the Bellport Bay.
Friends of Bellport Bay, yes.
And I would just like to take this opportunity while they're queuing him up to tell all the people that wish to participate to join the queue and to tell the monitors what hearing they would like to speak on. And that way we can facilitate their joining in the town board hearing and having access to the town board.
Okay. Is Tom ready?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
We can, Tom. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Supervisor and Town Board and Annette and Arresto. Thank you very much for working on this resolution. I know this town board supports shellfish restoration. We volunteers at Friends of Bellport Bay are inspired by the leadership that this town board and especially the supervisor has given with regard to shellfish restoration efforts in our bay. I am thrilled that the town is considering creating a management area in Bellport Bay. I am a little confused as to what the winter grounds verbiage represents. I do understand that there may be resistance to the town creating a management area, and I just want to get some clarification on exactly what winter grounds means. I think that's more related to the clammers that may use the area for their clamming. So as you know, our management area, we would like to have, or the town management area, it's not a Friends of Bellport Bay management area, it's a Brookhaven town management area in hopes that Friends of Bellport Bay could plant shellfish in this area that will be protected indefinitely from harvesting. It makes no sense. Our volunteers ask all the time, what happens if people take the shellfish that we plant on the bay bottom? And as you know, we really can't plant shellfish on the bay bottom unless it's in certified waters, which means they're vulnerable to be snatched by recreational clammers and commercial men alike. And we know that some of the commercial guys have pulled up our oysters. And And I think most of them do put them back because they also recognize our efforts. So I would urge this town board to vote in the affirmative and to get our management area in place. And after that management area as proposed is in place, I would then come back to the board and ask if we could tweak that management area and change its shape. The current shape of this management area, I'm sorry, can you
I'm
still
sorry.
hear me? Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
The current shape of the management area as proposed, I believe, is estimated at only 150 feet wide. It's 2 acres, but we call it like a zip tie. And that oysters planted within this area will migrate out of the area rather quickly. So it is our hope that the town would actually consider creating a 2-acre square so that if we plant the oysters or shellfish in the middle of the square, there's a larger buffer around them as to their migration. So again, thank you so much for your great effort. And I do hope that we can move this resolution forward and get this beginnings of what I believe will be the restoration of the entire ecosystem. And I will add that all the people of Brookhaven Town deserve a healthy bay ecosystem. I respect the ability for clammers and diggers to go out there and retrieve shellfish from the bay bottom, but the ecosystem has collapsed and it's struggling to rebound. And we are working really hard, not costing the town anything in labor, to plant shellfish in Bellport Bay. And again, we appreciate your commitment to this. And if I could just get some clarification on winter grounds, what that means. Thank you.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Mr. Supervisor,
What
that's
I'd like
just,
to do,
okay.
what I'd like to do is have this area off limits to people so that the oysters can grow in this area. The area that was selected, and I understand your concern that it's a rectangular area, and you're looking for a square area, and I understand the logic behind that, was selected by Craig Strong, who is a bay management specialist, something or other. But he is the expert whenever we have questions. But I'm happy to work with you and Craig to come up with an area that's suitable. I do remember going out on the boat about a year or two ago with the governor. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I think he threw all the clams in uncertified water to the east of Bellport Village, if you recall.
Yes,
But I want to
indeed.
make sure that we have a program where clams can shelter. And I'm going to stop there because the clerk has her hand up. Thank you.
Yes. The reason why I have my hand up is even though Mr. Schultz has made his comments, I need him to attest to the fact that he has delivered them truthfully and honestly. So Mr. Schultz, though I can't see you, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand and tell us that the testimony you have given here today has been truthful and honest. So help you God.
I do, so help me God.
Thank you.
And thank you for all your help. Thank you for the efforts of Bellport, Friends of Bellport Bay. They are great citizens doing good things for the environment, for our bay, and for all of us in Brookhaven. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Supervisor, I can answer Mr. Schultz's question. That's just the title of that section, winter grounds. But if you read the resolution itself, it's a management area. So this is a designated management area for the Friends of Bellport Bay.
Right.
And that will be an off-limits area so that these shellfish can grow. And we also have another speaker. And with the board's permission.
Can I just tell you, it was reported to me that while Mr. Schultz was speaking, there was some sort of an echo or double talk. If everybody else, while someone else is speaking from the outside, if you'll just mute your mic, so there's, I don't know exactly what was happening, but it made hearing him difficult. Not for us, because we could hear him just fine, but I'm told that over the web, it was difficult.
Okay, and before we go to our other speaker, Judy Simonik sent you all a online comment in support of this public hearing, and it's in your emails if you want to queue that up and read it. And now we also have another participant who would like to speak, and I will have her them introduced into the meeting.
I think you could remove Mr. Schultz from the meeting. He's still in.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, we're working on it.
And if you'll just give me a moment to swear them in when they come on.
Can you hear me? It's Steve Borkhardt.
There you go.
Mr. Walker, it is?
Borkhardt is Borghart.
I'm sorry, Borhart. So if you would please, though I cannot see, oh, I can see you now, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, so help me God.
Thank you so much.
So I just want to, and I'm going to echo, I actually, I'm part of Friends of Belport Bay myself. I'm a director there. I work with Tom. I want to second basically everything he's already gone through. And, I'm a director of Friends of Belport Bay. I'm also formerly of Save the Great South Bay as well. So, I've been around, Bay issues for quite a number of years. And first and foremost, I want to thank the whole, town council and especially the supervisor for their support of this. Again, echoing Tom, I think the 2-acre plot, I think we can definitely do some things there. We would have liked to be a square, but we'll take the rectangle. And we're looking forward to working with you going forward, and Craig Strong as well, into restoring the bay and getting shellfish to grow. And and also as a knock on as well, is the cleaner water is in everybody's interest, right? Especially the baymen who are there, who are now harvesting clams that have been put there by the state. And we appreciate their interest in the bay as well. So I just want to say, thank you so much for your support in our efforts, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Just the town board, I misspoke. It wasn't Judy Simoncic. It was the comments in your email are from Alexander Lebenthal. Judy Simoncic is going to be on another hearing, and she was in support of the town area where oysters can be protected from harvesting. It is important that oysters be protected to keep the bay clean. Much effort has been expended to do this. So she's in support.
She's actually in the meeting.
Okay, but there you go.
So Miss Alexandra Leventhal, if you'll please raise your right hand.
Well, I read her.
I know that, but she's in the meeting. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Thank you. I wasn't sure if my comment went through or not, so really just wanted to echo the comments that I made. We've been both very lucky to have our daughter be an intern this summer with the Friends of Belport Bay, so we're seeing firsthand everything that they're doing. And for a couple of years, we were also adoptive parents, as we like to say, to many of the oysters that were off of our dock. So very much in support of this and everything that Tom has done to really make this a major effort.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wants to speak? I see a young woman, Ray.
Yes,
Okay.
hi. I would love to speak.
Okay, the clerk has to swear you in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
So yes, I just want to, I'm also working with Friends of Belport Bay this summer, and I just would love to echo everything that Thomas, Steve, and Alexandra have said before me, but I also wanted to speak on this issue as a college student. I'm studying environmental science, and I also first want to say thank you so much for to everyone who's supportive of this issue, and for letting me speak and hearing me today. But I wanted to speak as a young person who's spent most of my life growing up on the Great South Bay and Belport Bay, and learning from it, most importantly. So I know that my interest in environmental protection is a result of the lessons that I learned from living here on the bay, living near the bay, and learning from it. And I think that now more than ever, we're at an extremely interesting point in history where we're kind of reimagining the way that we teach young people, and a vibrant, healthy bay ecosystem is so important to that. Perhaps more than it's ever been, because our relationship to public spaces as it pertains to teaching our young people is changing, and having access to these public, natural, healthy ecosystems, I think, is so important for fostering early interest in the environmental sciences, and especially in an area of Long Island that's very economically diverse. Not everyone has access to expensive programs to, learn about a lot of these issues. And I think that that's another reason it's so important, is so that kids can benefit from the same experiences that I have, that have really been so formative to me and have completely changed my path of my academic path. So yeah, that's what I mostly wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Supervisor, that ends our public participation.
I'll make a motion to close this public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to close carries.
Okay.
Councilman Foley has the CEQA and the resolution.
I don't think it's mine. I'm sorry.
Belport Bay?
Can one of my colleagues read it? Mike, is this yours?
Michael Lagurcio.
If you don't have it, I could read the resolution. Mike,
It's
do you
Mike.
have
It's
it?
Mike's resolution.
It's
Mike's
not actually yours, but I'll read it. I'll read it.
You do the negative CEQA first.
Okay. Secret negative declaration, resolution of adoption of local law amending Chapter 57, entitled Shellfish, Article 6, entitled Native Management Areas and Winter Grounds, Section 57-34, entitled Management Areas of the Code of the Town of Brookhaven. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
And then we have to do the resolution of adoption, Mike?
Yes.
Resolution of adoption of local law amending Chapter 57, entitled Shellfish, Article 6, entitled Designated Management Area and Winter Grounds, 57-34, entitled Management Areas of the Code of the Town of Brookhaven. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, we're on to public hearing number 3.
This is going to be adjourned. It's already been opened.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to adjourn public hearing number 3 till October 22nd at 5:30 p.m.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Need a second, though. I'm sorry.
I'll
I'll second.
second that.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Any abstentions? All those in favor, it passes. Carries. Okay. There we go. Take me out of the sequence and you see what happens?
We are now on to public hearing number 4.
Yes. So public hearing number 4 is to consider the application known as Middle Island Apartments for amendments to the restrictive covenants on property located in Middle Island, New York. Legal notice of public hearings are published no less than 10 days and no more than 20 days prior to a public hearing in one of the legal town newspapers. My office has received a signed affidavit of publication from the newspaper. A secret negative determination will be submitted by the law department via resolution if applicable in this matter. And my office is in receipt of 4 letters of support for this application, including the Middle Island Civic Association and Concern for Independent Living. The applicant was required to post the property as well as notify all property owners within a 500-foot radius of the subject property. And my office is in receipt of the affidavits of mailing and posting. The letters of support came from James Civil and Loretta Hill Civil and Samuel Abedin, Middle Island, as I said, Middle Island Civic Association and Concern for Independent
Okay.
We have,
Do we want to hear?
what do we have?
Okay.
We're gonna, Joe Sanzano is gonna speak on this for the town.
And the applicant. Joe Sanzano is a member of our planning department. He is the guru for all zoning changes, and he lets us know what's what. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. This site is located along the west side of Rocky Point Road. I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to go to, it's right here. And it's also along the east side of Middle Island Road. And it's located 125 feet north of Middle Country Road, State Route 25 in Middle Island. The parcel is 13.35 acres and is mostly vacant, with 2 single-family homes to the north of the property and freshwater wetlands to the south. The subject property is currently zoned MF residential.
Joe, it looks like there's 3 homes there, north of the parcel.
One of them is the out parcel there,
An out
Supervisor.
parcel. Now, are they buying this land or just?
They already own these properties that are
They do.
highlighted here in blue.
Right, but they don't own these 2 at the southern end.
The 2 at the southern end and the one in the middle here, they don't own those.
Okay.
But that makes up the 13.35 acres.
Right, I have questions about connections to public water for each of those.
Right. So the property is zoned MF residential. It was rezoned on the town board zone motion in 2006 from nursing home zoning and A1 residential to the current MF residential with restrictive covenants. This was in accordance with the 2006 Middle Country Land Use Plan for Quorum, Middle Island, and Ridge. The additional parcels were added to the site and were also rezoned on the town board zone motion to MF residential in 2007 and again in 2008. Today, the applicant seeks relief from certain restrictive covenants that were applied at the time, and these amendments are proposed basically due to the passage of time and due to some timing issues that were proposed, that were embedded into the restrictive covenants. And those amendments are proposed also in order to be consistent with current town code standards, as the town code has been amended over the years since 2006. The applicant proposes to construct a 96-unit multifamily development with associated recreation building, pool, and other site amenities, including the construction of the Renaissance Boulevard extension for site access, and the reclamation and dedication of the wetlands and surrounding area to the town of Brookhaven. A sanitary connection is proposed to the Sandy Hills sewage treatment plant. The proposed project, as I said, is in conformance with the recommendation contained in the 2006 Middle Country Road Land Use Plan and is considered a primary zone based on the Brookhaven Town Code for multifamily residential. And that concludes my portion of this, and I can turn it over to the applicant for their further comments.
Good evening, Supervisor, members of the Town Board. My name is Judy Simoncic. I'm an attorney with the firm of Fercelli, Deegan, Tirana, with offices at 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard in Uniondale, appearing today on behalf of the applicant. And I see on our call, I just want to introduce Tom Dixon. He's the professional engineer with Nelson and Pope, who's prepared the plans that are before the board. We also have Chick Voorhees, our environmental planner, also with Nelson and Pope, and Steve Feldman with SRF Architects. He's prepared the plans that are before the board. As Mr. Sanzano stated, this property had been rezoned back in 2006 to multifamily residence on the town board's own motion. At that same time, the property was incorporated into the Middle Country Road Land Use Plan. And as Mr. Sanzano appropriately pointed out, many of the restrictions that were contained in the CNRs at that time relate to town code provisions that no longer exist. In addition, some of the restrictions we are seeking to amend do relate to timing issues, as Mr. Sanzano indicated. And some of those covenants may have made sense 14 years ago when the zone was changed by this board, but today they're really no longer practical or feasible for that matter. And I just want to be clear that all the amendments we are seeking are consistent with the current town code, and they are really typical of what the board would approve if it was rezoning this property today. In terms of the amendments, we did submit to the board a table that shows all the proposed amendments and the reasons why we are seeking them. I'm not going to go through those. I wasn't planning on doing that at the hearing, unless the board would like me to go through some of them. And of course, I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any on specific covenants that we're seeking to amend. I believe the town board is very familiar with the proposed changes. We have met over the course of many years with planning and the law department, and everybody is very familiar with what we are seeking to change. And essentially, approval of this application will allow a project that this board envisioned 14 years ago to finally come to fruition. Equally important is the fact that approval of this project will translate to many significant benefits to the town and the local community. And if I may, Joe mentioned a few of them, but I'd like to go down the list of a few more that really demonstrate that approval of this application really will benefit the town and the local community. And first off, as part of the application, if this is approved, the applicant will be making a $50,000 contribution to the Middle Island Community Enhancement Fund. As Joe indicated, we are going to be constructing a roadway on the property connecting Rocky Point Road to Middle Island Road. This will certainly help traffic flow in the area. We're also offering to dedicate a portion of the roadway along Rocky Point Road for future road widenings. These road improvements will cost the applicant approximately $300,000. In addition to those improvements, we will be installing sidewalks running the entire length of the easterly side of the property along Rocky Point Road, which will certainly help make this area more walkable for the residents of the area. And as Joe indicated, and this was part of the original covenant, we will be dedicating a 6.2 acre parcel of land to the town. This area will be cleaned out, restored, and then reconveyed to the town. This will allow for preservation of open space and, more importantly, restoration of an environmentally sensitive habitat. And that total cost for those wetlands improvements to the applicant is $150,000. Turning to the benefits to the immediate neighbors, the applicant has worked very hard with the neighbors who reside along Middle Island Road. These neighbors currently have their water provided by individual wells on site. The neighbors have tested their wells and identified that they're experiencing issues with water quality. So as part of this proposal, if the board approves these amendments to the covenants, the applicant has agreed at its sole cost to upgrade the residents' wells, their well filtration systems, to provide cleaner drinking water to their homes. And there are approximately 8 homes that we identified that will be upgraded at a cost of $3,000 per home.
Can I interrupt for a second, ma'am?
Sure. Yes.
I appreciate the fact that you're going to give them a treatment system for their groundwater wells that may have issues with pollution or contamination. Why would you not hook them up instead to public water?
We could not hook them up to public water because that would require significant extension of the water main down that road, which was not necessary in terms of, you know, the overall development. And I could have Tom Dixon perhaps address the board with respect to the water main improvements.
I'd appreciate that. My understanding is that the Water Authority will give you 75 foot of main for free for every hookup. So how many houses are would need to be hooked up? And then we calculate that, multiply that times 75, and you have the footage that the Water Authority will provide for free. So I'd like to hear the explanation.
Sure. And I guess by way of background, Supervisor, when we did approach the neighbors, we did meet with the Water Authority, and they were not interested in being hooked up to the water line. They had indicated that they wanted their wells, you know, new filtration systems installed, that they would be
Despite the fact the well tested badly.
I'm sorry?
Despite the fact that these wells tested water that is questionable.
I think Mr. Dixon can address what the results were, but the residents were interested in us providing a filtration system, even though, of course, this particular project is not contributing to that current condition of their well water.
Mr. Dixon, before you begin, please, would you raise your right hand? As a matter of fact, Mr. Feldman, if you're going to speak, and if you will all just raise your right hand. Unmute yourself, Mr. Voorhees. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
No. I do.
Okay, I have everybody. Thank you.
Mr. Dixon.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. My name is Tom Dixon. I'm a licensed professional engineer with the firm Nelson & Pope, with offices located at 70 Maxis Road in Melville, New York. Here for the applicant, Scalamander Cove. Yes, I'll address the questions regarding the water quality. We had tests done by two different companies, well filtration companies that went out. We tested 8 of the homes. There's probably about 20 homes, 18 homes that are on well water along Middle Island Road. 8 of the homes were interested in water filtration systems for their homes. So we had 2 companies go out to test these wells. To be clear, none of the samples showed any contaminants such as volatiles, nitrates, pesticides. What they did show up was a low pH level within the water, which could be indicative of the age of the pipes in the house. And with a lower pH, it can cause problems such as staining and rust in the water. And that's primarily the complaints that we're hearing from the homeowners is staining and rusting. And the lower pH can also have some impact on the pipes in the house. So the type of system that we're proposing would improve that. These are considered nuisance problems, but not contaminants. So that's the type of system we're proposing to install in these homes.
And that's all the reports show.
That's correct. We have, and we'd be happy to share, the test reports, but none of them did show any sort of volatile organic compounds, nitrates, pesticides. It's primarily a staining and rustings, which is obviously a nuisance when you're doing laundry of those types of things, but no sorts of contaminants were found.
Mr. Supervisor, we do have one participant from the public who would like to speak, and it's Gail Lynch-Bailey. So if you would allow, we could let her in.
The Middle Island Civic President, who was held in high regard for her community commitment.
Okay, we're going to let her in now.
Hello, Gail.
Hello, everybody.
Gail, if you will please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. So help me God.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for accommodating me. First of all, I want to thank the supervisor for responding to my letter with some questions for the planning commissioner. We do have some key things that we want to make sure happen. This plan has been before the town or in the wings for 15 years, and it's almost 20 years since we had the visioning process. I know Joe remembers this. Joe, you and I are one of the few people who will remember it. So it's really interesting and intriguing to see that this might actually happen, at least as part of it. But we do want to make sure that we have the cart before the horse now, and that the wetlands are going to be restored prior to them going to the town, because we don't want the town to have to restore them. We want the applicant to do that. That's good for everybody. These are supposed to be market rate apartments. That's a good balance to what's on the other side of Route 21 at Renaissance Village. So that's a very important aspect of it for us. Very happy to see that the $50,000 beautification fund for Middle Island is still on the table, and we're hoping that will stay in Middle Island. And between councilmen and I, I'm sure we could come up with any number of places, but perhaps some signage right there. That is the headwaters of the Carmens River. At the library, we have a beautiful old postcard that shows cattle at the pond there at Pfeiffer's Pond. We can make a beautiful sign there. And of course, just to the east is Artist Lake, which is another interesting body of water. It's not a river, it's a kettle hole, but that's also a place that could use some refurbishing and beautification with these funds. So naturally, we welcome that and are happy to accept that. The sidewalks are important. I noted that it's on one version of the plan, it goes all the way along the side of the restored area. On another version of the plan, it sort of stops and it doesn't quite get to 25. And I'm very prejudiced. I want people who live in that apartment complex to be able to walk to the library safely at some point in time. So I want to make sure that we have a walkability there that gets us to Route 25 safely. So if that can be made sure of, that'd be great. Traffic light, we would like one where Renaissance Boulevard goes across now at 21 to the new apartments. We're working with Sarah Anker, who has contacted the new head of the DPW, who was the old head of the DOT, Joe Brown, and he's going to be looking at that for us. So we want to push for that.
That's a county issue. That's a county road, County Road
Definitely.
21.
I would like to opine on this. Since
Yes. Do you want me to finish or do you want me to wait?
additional traffic measures need to be addressed there, because the backup and the lines of cars queuing on Rocky Point Yaphank Road, Marconi Boulevard, County Road 21, whatever you want to call it, is insane.
It is. And
adding more density to this without additional traffic calming measures, whatever they be, is you literally sit through that light 3 or 4 times before you can get through it.
Jane, what do you think would be a way to I guess mitigate that?
I'm not a traffic engineer. I'm just saying, as the person that kind of shares this intersection with you, Mike, albeit because north of it starts on 21 starts my council district, and having sat through that intersection trying to go south from my home in Rocky Point, it's literally taking me 3 or 4 times for that light to cycle through before you can get through. So if we're adding, if this is being built and a lot more density is coming, then traffic calming, sidewalks, this has to, it can't be a wish list. It has to be done.
One of the things that they said, I think, was that they were dedicating a portion of the property for a future road widening. Did I hear correct?
Correct. That's correct, Council.
That would be the time to widen it with a right turn lane.
Right.
I'm nervous about future. I'm nervous about the future, living in plans for the future to ameliorate these problems that we know are going to happen, given the present situation of every level of government's budget.
Well, and then Joe can address this more, but this will be addressed at the planning board level, and DPW will have to weigh in before planning gives their approval. Joe, stop me if I'm wrong.
No, that is absolutely correct. We would definitely refer this to DPW as a normal course for the site plan review, and also our traffic safety, as well as our own highway department. That new road or extension of Renaissance may even be a town road. It connects to Middle Island Road. So our highway department would weigh in, our traffic safety division would weigh in, and then also the Department of Public Works. And they would control whether or not the light, it would be installed or not. It is their roadway.
And the turn. And also to answer Gail's questions, the applicant has to restore the wetlands prior to the 30th dwelling unit receiving its CO. So they'll be working on it in initial stages. And the $50,000 will go into, it'll come to the town, but it'll be earmarked in a Middle Island Community Enhancement Fund in the Finance Department.
Great, thank you. And thank you, Councilwoman Bonner, for opining on the traffic. That's so important. And I didn't mention also the speed limits on that road with all the trucks and everything. It's a crunch zone, so we have to be super, super careful there.
And whatever power we have as a town board, we should be, I don't want to use the word exert because it's not a very nice word to use, but whatever power we have to facilitate these necessary improvements as it moves through the process, we really should be using it.
Well, Jane, the improvements would be made by the developer, so you don't have to worry about budget crunches or whatever.
No. I understand what I'm saying to you. Right. What I'm saying to you is that my concern about not having us as a town board and a supervisor express and let the applicant know that these are things that are going to be necessary, not something in the future.
Well, we'll work with the county on County Road 21.
Because the eventuality is that certainly Mike and I are going to be getting phone calls from residents that are exceptionally frustrated that there's a bottleneck of traffic. They can't get through. There's sidewalks to nowhere, whatever. We've all had those complaints. Let's try to avoid them. Let's do it right.
Okay.
I think the planning commissioner and Joe hear you loud and clear.
I had the most faith in those two individuals, like
I know
you can't
do.
believe.
Mr. Supervisor, we don't have any other public comment on this hearing.
If I
Okay.
may, could I speak again? I would
Yes.
like to address Councilwoman Bonner's concerns regarding traffic because there was a lot of work done. We did a full traffic study. We did a warrant study, which we submitted to the town board. So I'd like to have Tom Dixon just talk about the results of that and also assure Gail that the sidewalks will extend throughout the entire property. We've worked very hard with Gail and her group and the residents. So, and the applicant is fully committed to these items. So I want to, put on the record and allay any fears that you may have, Councilwoman, or the entire town board with respect to impacts on traffic and what we are proposing to do. So if Tom, could you please discuss the traffic study and confirm the sidewalks and the warrant study as well, please?
Wait, he's muted.
Unmute you.
Hold on, he can't do it.
Oh, you.
While we're waiting,
I apologize. I just was keeping the background
Say
noise.
one thing. Hold on a second, Tom.
Okay.
While we're waiting, I just want to go back to the other point that we talked about with connection to the Suffolk County Water Authority. I think you had mentioned that the water was a nuisance more than anything. It was brown. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, they'd be identified as a nuisance problem.
I understand it being a nuisance problem in terminology, but when you turn on your water and it's brown, to me, that's more than a nuisance. That's disgusting. So perhaps maybe we should have this tested again further into the project. And if it's still that way, then I suggest that maybe we do have them.
I think, Councilman, what they meant by a nuisance was that it wasn't a threat to your health.
No, I understand that.
And they could put filters on, because I can only speak to this because before there was public water in Center Moriches, we had the same problem, and you put filters on and it takes it out. Mr. Dixon?
Yeah, I just would comment on that very quickly. You're spending about a little bit more than Mr. Dixon, a little bit more than $3,000 per treatment unit. Is that correct?
It's about $3,000 a home for the treatment. Correct.
Are you doing 8 homes?
There's 8 neighbors that are interested in the system right now. Yes.
And that's $24,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. First, Mike, if you're ever going to have this tested, get the Suffolk County Health Department to test it. It charges $100 per test, and they have the most comprehensive testing laboratory. They use the Water Authority testing laboratory. Secondly, as I said, the Water Authority will give you 75 feet of main for free for each hookup. You should price that out against the $24,000. And added to that, some of these people may qualify as low to moderate income, and the cost of the hookup and the meter and the connection to the house could be paid for by community development funds. So maybe, Mike, that's something we can work with Mr. Dixon and the developer, because as long as it's cost neutral and he's prepared to spend $24,000 right now, let's take a look at what would be the harm in hooking up the public water.
Yeah, I agree.
By the way, hooking up the public water, one of the great benefits is it reduces your fire insurance, as I'm sure you know, Michael. So,
Mr. Supervisor, if I could just speak on that, because I do want you to know that we did look at the public water supply option. Actually, we had a meeting with the civics and Suffolk County Water Authority. Gail was there, and we sat down with them to look at this option, because to extend the water main, depending on which neighbors want to participate in this, it could be over 2,000 feet to 2,500 feet of of water main at a cost of about $200 a square foot. That's in the neighborhood of $450,000. Now, I'll say, and Gail was there too, but the Water Authority didn't mention anything about a $75 per foot.
That's a
credit.
standard policy.
So,
I only put a couple 100 miles of water mains in over my lifetime, as Chick will know. So that's a standard policy for the Water Authority. If you're looking to contract with the Water Authority, first of all, they'll give you a long-term loan. But secondly, they'll give you 75 feet of main for every hookup that's free.
But Mr. Supervisor, isn't it an issue if 12 of the houses don't want to hook up? Because then you would have spaces.
But the main would be there for future hookups.
That's correct.
But they won't, you'd have to pay for it because if they don't hook up, you don't get the 75 feet free.
No. Has nothing to do with that. Whoever hooks up.
You would only get it for the
75
ones that hook up, I believe.
Yep. So
that's the issue.
I'm just concerned with leaving people with brown water. I just don't think that's right.
Well, Michael, you and I will meet. This is a public hearing about other things. This is zoning that was adopted 14 years ago. It's a big lesson for me that zoning is forever. And apparently there's no deadlines on zoning, something we should change, where if we give a change of zone, there should be a period of time which it has to be effectuated and actually built out, or the zoning disappears. But this is a good lesson for the future. However, I just want to stick with the applicant and not put all this extra burden on the applicant.
Okay.
We'll look into this, you and I, Michael.
Okay.
See
Thank you,
what's
sir.
feasible, and I will ask the Water Authority to give me the information I need to make a determination. I don't know where these houses are located. I'm hopefully that if we contact Mr. Dixon or Chick, that they'll let us know which houses said yes and which said no, and then we can see if we as a town can help them make a plan. This is separate from the applicant. But the applicant
Michael,
is
Councilman
putting
Gurcho,
public
who was
water
the
in. Is that
county
correct?
supervisor? Who was the county legislator in the area for this?
Sarah Anker.
Oh, I think we should definitely ask Legislator Anker. It'd be nice if the Suffolk County legislator would maybe step in and help out these nice people, and I think it would be a good gesture by the county.
We can
to
also
help
do it
out
with our
these
community development
clean water.
block funds for anyone that qualifies. But we'll deal with that separately. I don't want to hold up the applicant. But the applicant is providing the multifamily that they're building with public water. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And where is that public water coming from? What's the
I can address that. The concern project extended the water main through their property up to Rocky Point Road. So there's a water main that exists just on the east side of Renaissance Boulevard.
That's what you do. Okay. I got
Yeah,
it.
we'll be extending about 650 feet of water main that the developer's paying for to get.
Right, you're not going to go down the whole Renaissance Boulevard. You're going to go down long enough to get an entrance into the development. I got it.
That's correct.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Tom, you want to go through the parking study too?
Yeah, I'll summarize it, and then if you have more questions, you can certainly ask me. But we did do an updated traffic and parking study in March of 2020, and we did counts at Middle Country Road and Rocky Point Road, Middle Country Road and Middle Island Road, Rocky Point Road and Renaissance Boulevard, Rocky Point Road and Middle Island Road, and then we also did. We did trip generation to determine the peak trips generated during the AM peak, the PM peak, and the Saturday midday peak. And the results of that showed during the weekday, the AM peak had a total of 46 trips. During the weekday PM peak, 57 trips. And on Saturday midday peak, 67 trips. And that's trips entering and exiting from the development. And what we look at is we look at level of service at the intersections, and considering our project, we did show that there was no changes to the level of service at those signalized intersections. So that would not require any improvements to those. There was one movement. That was the northbound movement at Middle Country Road and Rocky Point Road, and that was a change in level of service from level of service D to E. But that's something that could be could be addressed with a timing change on the signal. So that was the results of our traffic study. And then we also did a parking study because we are looking for some relief on the parking provided. We're providing 1.75 spaces per unit, where the town code requires 2 spaces per unit. So what we did counts at the Concern project, and we also counted at the Fairfield project, which is just east of Concern. We observed a rate of 1.28 spaces per unit. That was the maximum between the two. We also look at IT, which is the Institute of Traffic Engineers, and they recommend 1.21 spaces. So we feel that the 1.76 spaces that we're providing is sufficient and would support the 23 stall variance that we're looking for. As far as the traffic signal, we have been working with Suffolk County DPW on our highway permit for the new intersection. They did ask us for a warrant analysis, and we prepared that warrant analysis. It did not meet any of the warrants to warrant the signal there. However, the applicant has committed that if the county chooses, that he would put a signal at that location. So it's really up to the county. But right now, our warrant analysis did show that it wasn't.
Councilman Lugercio and the supervisor and I will be reaching out to Legislator Anchor regarding this.
Yes.
Tom, did you mention that the county was thinking about putting a light there?
The county asked us for a warrant analysis because they know there's interest from the community for a signal there. So they asked us for that warrant analysis.
Okay.
Okay, very quickly, Tom, one last question. What's the mix in terms of apartment size, bedroom size? How many 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and any 3 bedrooms?
Yeah, I'll give you the quick numbers as far as square footages. Maybe the architect might want to input on that, but we have 74 2-bedroom units and 22 1-bedroom units.
So mostly families would occupy that, because with 2 bedrooms, you can obviously have a child or 2 that would rent the apartment. Okay.
2 bedrooms are 1,000 square feet, and the 1 bedrooms are 700 square feet, and there are no 3-bedroom apartments.
Okay.
And we've done an analysis on that, and we don't anticipate a lot of school children, if that's where the question is alluding to. We anticipate about 13 school-age children from this development.
And today,
And of course, it's not age restricted.
No, it's not.
Market
And it's
not
market rate. That's correct.
I got it.
Okay, Mr. Supervisor, I'll move to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We have secret negative declaration granting the application of Middle Island Apartments for an amendment of restrictive covenant on property located in Middle Island, New York. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I have a resolution of adoption granting the application of Middle Island Apartments for an amendment of restrictive covenants on property located in Middle Island, New York. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
okay.
Okay, thank you very much to the applicants and to Gail. And we will move on to public hearing number 5.
Yes. Public hearing number 5 is to consider the application known as BLCCA LLC for a change of zone from J Business 2 to J Business 2 and L Industrial 1
Where'd we go?
on property located in East Moriches, New
And
York.
we'll move on to public.
Legal notices for public hearings are published no less than 10 days and no more than 20 days prior to a public hearing on one of the legal town newspapers.
Hearing
Our
number
office
5.
has received a signed affidavit for publication from the newspaper. Consider the application known as this negative determination will be submitted by the law department via resolution if applicable. I am in receipt of a letter from the Suffolk County Planning Commission determining it to be a matter of local determination. I'm also in receipt of a letter of support from the Chamber of Commerce of the Mauritius, a letter from the East Mauritius Property Owners Association expressing comments and concerns, and one letter in opposition to this application. The applicant was required to post the property as well as notify all property owners within a 500-foot radius of subject property, and my office is in receipt of those affidavits of mailing and posting. A letter from Suffolk County Planning is dated March 12, 2020, and it reads, Dear Ms. Lunt, pursuant to the requirements of sections 814-14 to
Hold on, Dan.
814-25 of the Suffolk County Administrative Code, the above referenced application, which has been submitted to the Suffolk County Planning Commission, is considered to be a matter for local determination, as there is no apparent significant county-wide or intercommunity impact. A decision of local determination should not be construed as either an approval or disapproval. Signed, very truly yours, Andrew P. Freeling, Chief Planner.
Okay, thank you. Annette, are you going to give the description, or is someone from planning going to do that? Joe?
Yes, sir. I'm here for the presentation. I'm going to share my screen. This site is located along the south side of Montauk Highway, County Road 80, west of Locust Avenue in East Mauritius. The parcel is 4.807 acres and is currently occupied with an existing 11,964 square foot commercial retail facility, along with a 16,000 square foot mini storage warehouse facility behind the retail use. The remaining portion of the rear portion of the site is vacant and undisturbed and backs up to the Long Island Railroad. The site is currently zoned J2 business and has been since 1955. The applicant seeks a change of zone to J2 business on 1.19 acres of the site and to L1 industrial on the remaining 3.6 acres of the overall site. Behind the retail the remaining portion of the rear portion of the site is vacant and undisturbed and backs up to the Long Island Railroad. The site is currently zoned J2 business and has been since 1955. The applicant seeks a change of zone to J2 business on 1.19 acres of the site and to L1 industrial on the remaining 3.6 acres of the overall site. This proposed concept plan shows the retail use to remain on the J2 business parcel, the existing mini storage facility to be made a conforming land use on the L1 industrial parcel, along with the addition of 37,500 square foot mini storage warehouse facility with associated parking, landscaping, and other site improvements. Access to the site is provided via shared access drive to Montauk Highway as it currently exists. A planning board land division will be required at the time of site plan review. Variances will also be required at the time of site plan review. The site is shown as a commercial land use on the 1996 comprehensive plan and is also consistent with our 2016 comprehensive rezoning reevaluation for the Mauritius area, as it eliminates potential additional retail uses that are not supported by the area. With that, I can turn it over to the applicant for their comments.
Okay. Mario,
Yes,
are you up?
I am up.
There you go.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Romaine and members of the board. My name is Mario Bigliata of Colonial Property Consultants. I am a Suffolk County licensed and Town of Brookhaven registered expert.
Donna, you have to swear Mario in.
If he is the applicant, but I'm looking at the screen, something is weird.
There you go.
Okay.
Not as weird.
All right. Sir, if you will please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Romaine, members of the board. My name is Mario Bigliata of Colonial Property Consultants. I am a Suffolk County licensed and Town of Brookhaven Registered Expediter. I represent BLCCA LLC, the owners of the subject property. Mr. Tony Labrano, one of the owners, is online with me today, as well as Mr. Christopher Labate of Lab Crew Engineering, the firm responsible for the site plan work. They are available to answer any questions. BLCCA purchased this property back in November of 2016. When the property was purchased, the only structures on the property are the same two structures that are still present today. Those buildings are a one-story, 11,964 square foot retail building consisting of 10 units, which holds a certificate of occupancy from the town since October of 1988. And a one-story, 15,268 square foot self-storage building located in the rear behind the shopping center, which holds a certificate of occupancy from the town since May of 1988. The property is 4.8 acres in size and is currently zoned J2 business. A couple of years ago, the owners considered the possibility of adding another self-storage building after it became apparent that the demand for self-storage in the area was extremely high, which was confirmed by the fact that my client's self-storage building, as well as the other two self-storage facilities in the East and Center Moriches area, were filled near capacity. It is not uncommon today for there to be a waiting list at many of the self-storage facilities here on Long Island. The two other self-storage facilities located nearby are Storage R Us, which is located at 10 Frowine Road in Center Moriches. It is approximately 4.6 miles from the subject property. Their property is 1.9 acres or 86,240 square feet in size. They have three self-storage buildings totaling 26,395 square feet, which occupies up approximately 30% of their property. The other self-storage facility is Storage R Us East, located at 192 Frowine Road in East Moriches, which is 2.7 miles from the subject property. The property is 4.9 acres in size and has five self-storage buildings totaling 32,803 square feet, which occupies approximately 15% of the property. My client's property is 4.8 acres in size, or 209,399 square feet. Including the proposed new self-storage building, the total square footage of the buildings would be 42,500 square feet, which means the three buildings together would occupy approximately 20% of the property. I would like to point out that the property directly to the west is currently zoned J2 business and houses an office known as SM Solutions Management. There are two properties that border to the east. One is a small parcel along Montauk Highway that is zoned J zoning and houses the offices of Proflame Propane. The other is a large parcel, vacant wooded parcel that is zoned A1 residential. The rear of the property borders up to the Long Island Railroad. Located on the south side of the actual railroad tracks is a neighborhood of homes. There are only two homes from that neighborhood that border up to the tracks across from the subject property. One is approximately 110 feet away from the other, from the subject property, and the other is more than 150 feet away from the subject property. All the other homes in that neighborhood spread south of these two residences. Please know that as required by the town, we have met with two local civic groups in the area. The first was the Chamber of Commerce of the Moriches, which after our presentation provided us with a letter stating that they had no objection with this project. A copy of this letter was submitted with our application. The other civic organization that we met with was the East Moriches Property Owners Association, or commonly known as the EMPOA. At that meeting, the members of the EMPOA shared their concerns. Mr. Gleason from the EMPOA sent a letter to the town board dated July 14th of this year. And my clients and I were happy to read in his letter that the EMPOA did not object to the concept of additional self-storage, but only had concerns related to the possible impact of residential properties, setbacks, landscaping, and lighting. Although my clients and I feel that there would be minimal impact at most to the neighboring property owners, they are willing to work with the town planning department to address concerns of the EMPOA. I would like to state in closing that the location of the current storage building and the new proposed storage building are not visible from any street or neighboring properties. The storage industry is known for its low impact and very quiet and minimal traffic flow. For most of the time, they are just buildings that just sit there. Thank you for your time to listen to my presentation. Mr. Lebrano, Mr. LeBate, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from board members for the applicants? Councilman Panico.
Supervisor, just for the record, we have no public that wish to speak.
Okay.
Joe, one of the biggest contentions of of Empower and Jim Gleason, and a lot can be dealt with at planning board, was that the town code L1 against A1 requires 50 feet. And this namely to the eastern side of the property. The plan provides for 30 feet as that road meanders from the north to the south in the common drive for access to this proposed self-storage. What was the rationale behind allowing the change of zone to go forward with regard to an application that does not conform to the town code per se?
So I can speak to that. So the driveway, as it exists today, predates that town code requirement. So that driveway where it is right now is within that buffer zone. So we would allow that as it exists because that's how it was approved by the planning board in the 80s. What the applicant has done, they've as they expand the driveway south towards the railroad track, they move it inwards in order to make an effort to comply with the current town code, which requires the buffer along that easterly property line and the southerly property line. Because even though it's a Long Island Railroad, technically the Long Island Railroad is zoned A1. So they would have to hold a buffer there as well.
Okay, so historically, the property as it exists with regard to the J2 and what we would refer to as the existing L1 self-storage behind the J2 shopping plaza, that drive access does not comply with the town code. And being that there is only one access to the back of this property, they go from basically zero with regard to the buffer to residential. They meander to the west in a sort of S shape and do give some buffer.
That's correct.
Okay, and with
then we
regard
supplement that with landscaping. Right now there's a fence, and then and we would add landscaping or evergreen trees along that easterly buffer at the time that site plan comes in.
Okay, and how about to the residents to the south there are a couple houses south on the other side of the railroad tracks?
Right. So as Mario mentioned, they're quite a distance away from the development, and they are adjacent to the railroad. Most of the properties to the south of this largely is a town of Brookhaven recharge basin, and then there is a single-family home that does butt the railroad on south of the railroad tracks. And in order to help, if we would, the applicant shows a buffer, and then we could supplement that buffer with the recommendation that planning has for supplemental buffers for evergreen trees. Yeah. And typical evergreen tree buffer in our code is 7 feet tall, 5 feet on center.
Okay, and
Councilman Panico, that's part of the covenant. It says a double row of evergreen trees shall be provided along the southern.
Oh, I know that, and I'm just reading it for anyone watching or those people who may be interested in the area. And I just have two more questions. The next question, just for the edification of the public, the entire proposed development must be dark skies compliant in conformance with the code?
That is correct, and even the commercial property, we would look to change the lighting if needed on that existing commercial, even though it was developed and CO'd in the 80s. We would look to have them comply at least with the lighting fixtures and shielding.
Okay, and the property is currently zoned J2, the change of zone and land division for L1. That also has a covenant that restricts all other uses but self-storage in the L1 district. Is that correct?
That is our recommendation, yes.
And L1 was chosen because of the existing self-storage as opposed to the J5 district, which would not fit in, but does allow for the self-storage, correct?
That is correct. That was our intent.
Okay, and my final question is, Mr. Gleason has asked for street trees, as there really aren't that many street trees on the existing shopping plaza, which abuts this property to the north and is being divided through the land division. Would it be within the planning board's purview to add such street trees at the time of site plan?
So that is also one of our recommendations. Although this property is directly across the street from what we know as the Lufker Airport, we would look to have those street trees installed as per town code requirements.
That's
Okay.
actually in the covenant also, Mr. Panico.
Great.
Provide street trees in accordance with the town code.
Okay, and a change of zone from the town board, Joe, requires how many votes?
Just a majority. Town attorney, is that right?
4.
It's
In
4.
this case.
To amend a covenant, a restrictive covenant with regard to the land uses associated with L1 requires what majority of votes from a town board?
6.
6 out of 7.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Okay, do you want to close this public hearing?
I do. I'll make a motion to close public hearing number 5 of July 16, 2020.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to close carries.
And I have a secret negative declaration granting the application of BLCCA LLC at East Mauritius for a change of zone from J Business 2 to J Business 2 and L1 Industrial 1 for a proposed mini storage facility on property located on Montauk Highway in East Mauritius, New York. So moved.
Second?
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I have the resolution of adoption granting the application of BLCCA LLC at East Mauritius for a change of zone from J Business 2 to J Business 2 and L
Dan?
Industrial 1. Yes?
You have to do CEQA first. Sorry.
I just
CEQA?
did.
We just did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that
You
was
did.
to close the hearing. Go ahead.
I think you have lag on your Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Resolution of adoption granting the application of BLCCA LLC at East Mauritius for a change of zone from J Business 2 to J Business 2 and L Industrial 1 for proposed mini storage facility on property located on Montauk Highway in East Mauritius, New York. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, for those who appeared, thank you again. We are moving on now to public hearing number 6, the first of, I think, 2 or 3 McDonald's. So allow the county clerk, the town clerk, promoting you to open
Yeah,
the
she
public hearing.
makes more money than me.
I know she does.
Public hearing number 7 is to consider the application known as McDonald's Corporation Miller Place for a change of zone from J Business 2 to J Business 5 and a special permit on property located in Miller Place, New York. Legal notices for public hearings are published no less than 10 days, no more than 20 days prior to a public hearing in one of the legal town newspapers. My office has received a signed affidavit of publication from the newspaper. A secret negative determination will be submitted by the law department via resolution if applicable. And I am in receipt of a letter from Suffolk County Planning Commission determining it to be a matter of local determination. The applicant was required to post the property as well as notify all property owners within a 500-foot radius of the subject property, and my office is in receipt of the affidavits and mailing and posting. The letter from Suffolk County Planning is dated August 7th, 2020. Dear Ms. Flynn, pursuant to the requirements of sections 814-14 to 814-25 of the Suffolk County Code, the above referenced application, which has been submitted to the Suffolk County Planning Commission, is considered to be a matter for local determination, as there is no apparent county-wide or intercommunity impact. The decision of local determination should not be construed as either an approval or disapproval. Signed, very truly yours, Andrew P. Freeling, Chief Planner.
Donna, I think you just said it was hearing number 7. This is number 6.
6.
Just for the record.
Right.
Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, and this is about the McDonald's at Miller Place.
Correct.
McDonald's Miller Place, I have it listed as number 7, but it's number 6 you're saying.
Correct.
Yes, number 6 in our packet.
Number 7 is
in
the
our
Rocky Point McDonald's.
Okay, thank you.
So, well, it doesn't matter. We'll do the Miller Place because that's what's listed here for us.
Correct. That's the one that was just read.
That's the one I just,
Mr. Supervisor,
That's
may
also
I
listed
interrupt?
here.
Supervisor?
Yes.
Neil and I were both kicked off the meeting, and Neil's having some difficulty getting back in. I'm back in now, obviously.
Okay.
Is
Let's see if we
Neil here?
can reach
Maybe
out
he
to
could
Neil.
just come in my office.
Yeah,
Neil
for
in
some
the
reason, we
building?
both were kicked out.
Neil's welcome to come to my office.
It's for bad behavior.
I will email the proper people to try to get him back on.
All right,
Okay.
I just let him know that he's going to come into your office or Annette's office.
Okay, one or the other. I've got plenty of room here. Put my mask on. All right. This hearing is public hearing number 6. It is the Miller Place McDonald's. So with that, Joe, do you want to give us a little update?
Absolutely, Mr. Supervisor, thank you. I'm going to share my screen.
Now, all of these McDonald's are existing, by the way.
That is correct, yes.
They
So this
exist with the drive-throughs already.
Right, they're all existing. So let's just
They
go
are,
and go through this quickly.
yes. This site is located along the south side of New York State Route 25A, west of Miller Place Road in Miller Place. The subject parcel is 1.491 acres, currently occupied with an existing major restaurant, a McDonald's, with a associated drive-through facility and landscaping and other site improvements. The site enjoys a certificate of occupancy that was issued in 1991. The subject site is currently zoned J2 business. In 2003, town code was changed by the town board and required that all major restaurants, including McDonald's, must be zoned in a J5 zone. That meant they could not do any improvements to their sites. It rendered them non-conforming. Today, the applicant seeks a change of zone to J5 business and a special use permit for a major restaurant with an accessory drive-through facility. The concept plan shows a major restaurant, McDonald's, with a drive-through facility, as shown, and the special use permit will bring this site back into zoning compliance. Waivers from the special use permit are required, and variances will also be required at the time of site plan review. Staff is recommending a cross-access. The cross-access would connect this site to the Ging's Nursery site to the east and to the west, as well as to the gas station to the east, which would all connect out to Miller Place Road. The subject site falls within the Route 25A Miller Place Hamlet Center Overlay District. The Route 25A land use plan classified this area as a heavy commercial area, which it defined as uses consistent with the J5 business district, including fast food restaurants. With that, I will turn it over to the applicant for their comments.
Let me ask you one question, Joe. Is
Absolutely.
there an existing exit onto Miller Place Road currently?
That's correct.
Yes, there is.
There is with McDonald's already.
I know.
And our intent is to connect that all the way through to the Walgreens to the west, so that if you're at the Walgreens, you could go to the McDonald's without getting on to 25A.
And these these cross-access agreements this is what happens, what do you think, like 99% of the time when applicants like these come in?
Yeah.
And for development of the site, even if it's just to become conforming for future, for future use.
And we try to get it incrementally so that eventually it all comes together. That's the long-range plan.
It took like 20 years in the Cole Shopping Center, but it happened.
Sure did. Yeah.
Joe, planning is recommending this?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That's
And
all
is
we
it
have to know.
in conformance with the land use plan?
Yes,
That's it, is a recommendation in the land use plan as well, right, Joe?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. If the applicant wants to speak, I think the town board understands that this is something that has been recommended, but if the applicant wants to speak now, they can, or.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
We could just vote.
Or we could just, I know we have residents too.
We do.
There's one
There are a
resident.
couple people signed up.
There's one public speaker.
Let's hear from the public speaker first. I'd like to do that.
Okay, I'll get them put in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Unmute. There you go. Okay, you have to turn off the volume.
Okay, there you go.
What is that noise?
They're trying, it's some feedback on their line. Just give them a chance. They'll try to work on it.
They either have to shut off their phone or the computer, one or the other.
Yeah, I think that's what happened to Mr. Schultz.
Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Berger?
Before you start, first of all, you're muted, and I'd like you to, we'll take you together, but I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand. Where did Mr. Berger go?
Your right hand.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I
Can't hear them.
I can't.
You have to unmute them.
I do. I want to get on that.
So,
And you, Ms. Berger? Ms.
They're
Berger,
on now.
you reply yes?
we want to listen to your comments.
All right. May I be sworn in as well? I think I'm going to begin.
I did, and I just asked you to say you agree, say yes.
The clerk did you both together.
All right, I understand.
Bonner, I'd like to be sworn.
Okay, what?
This is Gordon Brosdy. I'd like to say to Jane Bonner, I'd like to be sworn in too. I live on the street next to this property.
Are you listed, is he listed in that? As
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Okay, but we can only listen to one at a time.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, I will begin by introducing myself, Andrea Pulio at 6 Jersey Avenue. And I have an issue with the notice of public hearing. I believe that the notice is not conforming to the requirements. I believe that it was sent, although it was sent, it was drafted with the intent of misleading us. And I will quote from the notice, all persons interested in the application shall attend the public hearing in the matter scheduled for July 16th at 2020 at 5:30 p.m. at the Town Board Auditorium, Town of Brookhaven, Town Hall, 1 Independence Hill, Farmingville, New York, 11738. The three here see something very wrong with this notice because we should have been notified of the meeting and of the conditions under which the meeting was supposed to take place. It is not my job to do the attorney's job and inquire directly with the town hall. This notice is a sham. It is ridiculous. Only by luck, we were able to find out that there was going to be a virtual meeting. Now, that is on procedure. Separate from that, we are opposed to the change in zoning. According to, I believe that the motion is made pursuant to Article 20, Section 85-459, high intensity business on one hand, and on the other hand, pursuant to 5460 special permits town board on the town board law, Section E, major restaurant with accessory drive-through. Am I correct? Is this what the motion is based on, the request?
Mr. Supervisor, may I jump in here?
Please, Annette.
I believe that the notice that was sent, the one that the town published did say it was by Zoom, but the other notice did not indicate that the hearing could be by Zoom. So it's
No,
my
it didn't.
recommendation that the town board adjourn this hearing to a later date and the correct notices be sent to the applicants. And what we've been doing on all our notices is we say the town hall or by Zoom.
It didn't say that.
It did not say.
No, I understand that. I'm
Yeah.
speaking. to the
Okay,
town board right now.
can I ask a question quickly?
What the attorney is saying is that you have a valid point,
Yes.
and they
We
should
should adjourn.
either
Okay,
in
but
the
can I ask a
auditorium-
question regarding,
Excuse me, Jane,
sorry,
or by Zoom, and it did not say that, so the town attorney is suggesting that we adjourn this public hearing and put it at a time that we can publish the correct notice.
Well,
That
we
we-
published the correct notice. It was the
Yes.
ones that were mailed by the applicant that was incorrect.
that didn't indicate that the meeting was going to be held by Zoom?
But Mr. Supervisor, may I be heard on this?
Yes.
Well, if we're adjourning, why are we going to hear anybody else?
Well, I want to hear Mr. Brown. If he has a
Thank
legal
Then we're
point
not-
about
okay.
the-
I do.
I'll take that under consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So, Mr. Supervisor, I'm looking at a copy of the notice that went out. It went out in a timely fashion, and I don't have a copy of the town code in front of me. Perhaps Ms. Federesto can pull it up. But it says right in the provisions under the town code that not one method is determinative whether or not there's jurisdiction to hear the matter. As she said, it was published in the newspaper, and it was indicated that it was via Zoom. We don't control whether or not the meetings are in person or via Zoom. This person obviously found out that it was being held by Zoom because they are on the call right now. So with all due
Counsel.
respect,
I
Counsel.
understand.
excuse me, with all due respect, I'd like to,
Please, Jen.
One at a time.
Thank you.
If you wish to speak, let Mr. Brown finish, and we'll give you your opportunity. Mr. Brown, finish up.
yes, so I was almost finished, thank you. That because of that, she's on the call, and we would very much like to move forward with the hearing.
Mr.
I'd love to
Supervisor,
move forward with it, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to listen to the advice of my town attorney. We're very careful about notice. We do want input on this. We do want to hear all voices. And although there are 3 people here that are willing to speak, who are not in favor of the application, I don't know if there'd be more. I don't know what other questions would be raised. So regretfully, we're going to start over on this. And
So, but I'd like to ask a question regarding this nice lady's objection to, ma'am, is it your understanding that if you oppose the zone change, that McDonald's is not going to be there anymore?
but Jane, we should save this for the proper hearing.
Right.
And so
Save
you have
that
the
for the hearing.
testimony after a proper notice.
But-
And
but-
I understand that these people have actual notice, but we don't know if other people tried to
Okay.
come to town hall. So
Very
I feel we
quickly,
need to adjourn.
the point,
Okay.
the point that Councilwoman Bonner was making, and I'll just leave it. Whether they get the rezoning or not, they're going to continue to operate there, period. Just so you should know that. This has
Right,
nothing to do
that
with
was
their
my
operation.
point.
This has nothing to do with their operations. This is simply a change of zone because they fit into a zoning category that did not exist when they first started in 91. So
They're bringing themselves into conformance, and
they will continue to operate.
they will continue to
whether they get the
operate
zoning change or not.
whether there's a zoning change or not. So I was wondering if the residents that are wishing to speak
Anymore.
are thinking if the zone change is denied, that
Anymore.
McDonald's is going
Any
away.
more of this will be discussed at the meeting that we postpone this to.
Okay.
So let me just,
Council, when were you recommending this be postponed?
I have 2 dates,
Okay,
August 13th at 5:30 PM or September 17th at 5:30 PM.
I'm sure the applicant would prefer August, what is it, August
August
13th?
13th.
August 13th, and we actually have another application on that night, Mr. Supervisor, so that would be
That makes it
preferable.
convenient. Another application here in Brookhaven.
Correct.
All right, so
So
I'll
will
make a
somebody make
motion.
I make a motion to adjourn to August 13th.
Okay, and what time is that meeting?
5:30 PM.
5:30.
5:30, okay. So we're not going to hear
Second.
anything on this tonight.
And
This is a
Thank you
second.
for making.
I was second.
Right.
The town gives.
I just want to know this is
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. This
And
is
just
now
to be
adjourned.
clear, that meeting will also be by Zoom
That will be
because
a Zoom meeting.
on
And the
August
reason we're
13th.
Zooming, just so you know, is the governor issues executive orders. And we're not allowed to have a public meeting with public present. And Zoom is the best way that we can virtually do this. So this meeting will be adjourned to August 13th. Public
At
hearing.
5:30 PM.
So
We can take those people off out of the, out
Yeah,
of the.
I'm sorry, but just for the record, I take exception to what council said there, trying to defend this notice. Am I not making myself clear? I am not.
No,
claiming-
we already
I think it was
adjourned
already
it.
adjourned, ma'am.
We already adjourned it.
It's already
I
adjourned.
You
understand
can be
that.
heard at the next hearing.
Ma'am, we're adjourning the meeting because we think your argument is valid, and we're adjourning till August 13th.
We have, do we have, we're moving on to
okay,
number
so we're moving
7.
on. This hearing was adjourned to August 13th. Proper notice will be sent out and published. We'll move on to public hearing number 7, which is the McDonald's in Rocky Point.
Yes. Public hearing number 7 is to consider the application known as McDonald's Corporation, Rocky Point, for a change of zone from J Business 2 to J Business 5 and a special permit on property located in Rocky Point, New York. Legal notices for public hearings are published no less than 10 days and no more than 20 days prior to a public hearing on one of the legal town newspapers. My office has received a signed affidavit of publication from the newspaper. A secret negative determination will be submitted via the law department by resolution if applicable, and I am in receipt of a letter from Suffolk County Planning Commission determining it to be a matter of local determination. The applicant was also required to post the property as well as notify all property owners within a 500-foot radius of the subject property, and my office is in receipt of the affidavits of mailing and posting. The letter from Suffolk County Planning is dated March 12, 2020. Dear Ms. Lent, pursuant to the requirements of sections 814-14 to 814-25 of the Suffolk County Administrative Code, the above referenced application, which has been submitted to the Suffolk County Planning Commission, is considered to be a matter for local determination, as there is no apparent significant countywide or intercommunity impact. A decision of local determination should not be construed as either an approval or disapproval. Signed, very truly yours, Andrew P. Freeling, Chief Planner.
Before Joe starts, Mr. Brown, do you have the same issue with the notice on this one?
I most certainly do, Ms. Sederesto.
Make a motion to adjourn this public hearing to August 13th.
So moved.
Thank you.
That would be a second, Jane. You?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. August 13th at 5:30 PM. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. We'll see you on August 13th. We'll move on to public hearing number 8.
I'll follow up with the town attorney regarding the notice. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Have a good night.
You too.
Public hearing number 8, determination of premises located at 38 Parkside Avenue, Miller Place, New York, to be unsafe as defined by Chapter 73. Pursuant to the engineer's report of Cash and Spinelli and Ferretti, LLC, the owner or other persons having an interest in the premises may be heard with respect to the condition of the premises and the actions necessary to secure or remove same. This public hearing had been adjourned from the May 14th, 2020 Town Board meeting.
It's going to be adjourned again. We're working to actually rehab this with the
When
applicant.
would you like the adjournment date to?
October 1st at 2:30 PM, please.
Okay, I move to adjourn to October 1st at 10:30. What? 10:30?
Wait a minute, excuse me. Nobody discussed this with me.
Okay.
This house. Nobody discussed an adjournment to rehabbing, because it's been my experience, every time we give a chance to rehab, all it does is just delay the inevitable. I've never had anybody come in and rehab, ever. Has any of my colleagues?
I've had several.
I
I've had
have.
probably 5 or 6.
I've never had one.
Oh, yes, you have.
No, I haven't.
Okay, hold on. I'll pull up the emails.
Well, this has been moved. I don't know what you want to do.
Hasn't been seconded yet.
No, I know.
Well, you should second so we could talk about it.
Is the bank rehabbing this house?
We want to have a discussion, and that is correct.
I'll second it for the purposes of discussion. Sorry, guys, I don't like learning about this just before.
Having trouble pulling up the emails.
Well, we're probably not, who would do the presentation? Brendan?
Yeah, he's not
Is
here.
he here?
No.
Okay, so we're going to adjourn this in anyway.
I'm going to adjourn it to the next meeting.
August 13th. There you go.
Yes,
I'll
thank
second
you.
that adjournment.
Jana, we'll fill you in when I find it.
Absolutely, but in the meantime, I'm adjourning to August 13th, and if we don't, if it resolves itself, then we'll deal with it then.
So you're amending the,
Amending to adjourn to August 13th.
Yes, I've seconded it. We're taking.
Okay, hold on here. What's the protocol here? So.
Protocol is we've made.
Jane made a motion to
Withdraw
and amend and here on August 13th.
So Jane is making a friendly amendment. Adjourn,
Yes.
moving the date to August 13th.
Correct. Adjourn it to August 13th, and in the meantime, someone get her the information.
I will meet with Annette about this.
Okay.
So
Got
first,
it. Thank you.
First, we have to vote on the friendly amendment.
Right.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, it's on our August 13th agenda. Now, we move on to public hearing number 9.
I don't know if that went down the way it should have, but okay.
That's adjourned too.
That's adjourned also?
Adjourned to August 13th at 5:30.
Yes, that particular one, he has made all the improvements to Bob's satisfaction, but he didn't get the proper permits, but he's in the midst of getting all the permits in the CO, so we just want to adjourn it, and that.
I make a motion to adjourn it to
Well, we've
August
already-
13th.
Hold on, then you got to reopen it. We've already done it, August 13th. It's done.
No, this is for hearing number 9.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you were going back to.
No.
Can we go back to the McDonald's adjournments? Do those have to be posted for 30 days?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So public hearing number 9, which is the determination of the premises located at 551 Post Avenue, Bellport, New York, to be unsafe as defined by Chapter 73, pursuant to the engineer's report of Caston Spinelli and Ferretti LLC. The owner or other persons having an interest in the premises may be heard with respect to the condition of the premises and the actions necessary to secure or remove same. And now this one was going to be, I understand, I was going to take a motion to adjourn to October 1st at 2:30 p.m. Is somebody going to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
That was you, Mr. Panico, yes?
It was.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion adjourned, public hearing adjourned to October 1st. Okay.
Okay. And
All
with
those in favor?
that, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting. I believe we have no further business.
So moved.
He's making a motion, so you're second.
And I'm seconding it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.